2. 2 is the answer, in case you were wondering how long it took us to get out of the house today.
2.
Yes, Charlie. Not 2 minutes. 2 seconds. 2 hours. All 3 of the girls are in the car. Huh? 2. 2. That's 1.
2.
Okay. 2.
2.
I will trust your love. I will trust your words. I will trust your wisdom. Yeah. I will put you first.
Guess who joined us?
Chief Levite, priest of the home, trailer tribe, chief.
Yep.
You see it? You see it?
He brought drinks to make up for.
Been the weakest link in the family, but yet the strongest.
We have a full day today. We are getting ready for a party at our house, and so that's later on today. So we need to go to the store and get stuff for that. We're gonna go thrifting a little bit today, and we're gonna go and see and check on his grandmother.
Gigi.
Outside of Uptown Cheapskates, Daddy and Charlie. Me and Blake. Hey, Daddy. Daddy found some stuff. Charlie, did you help Daddy?
Yep.
What about me?
Woo! Yes. That's nice, baby. Spin. Baby. Okay. Yes, Charlie. Okay, back in the car. All in all, a successful trip. Got kid stuff. Got stuff for Babe. I have the satisfaction of knowing that they got stuff. Anything, Charlie? Charlie is having a great day. She's convinced she doesn't need naps, but let's zoom in on this face. Okay. Whew. Hey guys, I have to rush back out because I need to get food for this gathering that's about to happen in about an hour and a half. So realistically, will I be able to cook? Probably not. I would rather just get store-bought stuff and have it done and be satisfactory good than try to whip something up and then do it so fast that I don't even have time to build the flavors and it ends up being bland anyway and my name is on it. I really want to talk to you guys and be undistracted, so let me try to find somewhere that I can park, preferably in the shade. Amen. I'm parked all kinds of wonky and probably in a couple of spaces. Okay, am I parked? Yes. So I was thinking about what it is that women bring to the equation. And the first thing that I thought about was just the name, woman. And I've heard so many sermons and they break it down and they talk about how we have a womb and how we are natural incubators. And I just wanted to encourage us as wives. We are able to literally give birth to the dreams, goals, and commitments that our husbands have inside of them. When I think about the idea of a suitable helpmeet, one of the aspects of that definition is that we are the counterpart. And you can see that just in our sexual organs, right? That he would give something that we would receive, right? And then from that, we conceive something like, That's so amazing, because practically our husband has this dream. He has this vision that God has given him. And then God will send him a helper, which is, hey, it's us. And then our husband would give us that dream and that vision for the family. And then we as women are behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, on the wings, just birthing that thing, just carrying it. So the times when our husbands feel weary and they feel unmotivated, we are the ones carrying and feeding that dream and that vision. And one day when it's time to birth it, like, we have been the ones to nurture it. When I think about it, I just think about the purposefulness of God. And so the God would say, I need to pull something out of this man. So he's constantly pulling things away from the man, giving it to the woman for her to then nurture and grow and to bring forth. Okay, so let's go further than that. Let's dig a little deeper. So we know that the definition of helpmeet also brings about the idea of an opposite, right? That they would be compatible. And we know that to be compatible, you can't be the same, right? So you got a positive battery and a negative battery. And even when you put the battery into the toy or whatever, I'm a mom, so I definitely just go to toy. And you have to match the negatives with the positives. The power happens when you switch and you attach the opposites. And I think that nature echoes everything that God creates. Oh my goodness. When I got married, I thought at that altar, I was like, we're so much the same. I found the male version of myself. We just think alike. And the longer you're married, the more you're looking at them like, you ain't nothing like me. What is happening? And for a moment, you think that either they've changed or you have just been ultimately bamboozled by this guy. He straight up trapped you, and now you got his kids. Maybe that got too personal. And after you get through that phase, you see the power and the purpose in being married to somebody that is opposite you. So instead of just trying to change them all the time and teach them and mold them into the person that they are supposed to be, do not get rid of the beautiful things that God is trying to add to your life through them. If he wanted you to be with you, you would be by yourself. But for whatever purpose God has for you, he needs those opposites so that you guys will have power and electricity, right? Okay, you see what I'm tracking here? Are we right here? Cool. Last point, and I'm gonna be done. In the Hebrew, the word helpmeet, one part of it is the word Ezer, and I'm sure I'm not pronouncing it correctly. E-Z-E-R. It's used 21 times, I believe, in the Old Testament. It's used to talk about the Spirit of God or God. And it's used in conjunction with God's people being in turmoil or needing help. That there would be a helper to come, which would be God or the Spirit of God. That same word is used in Genesis 2 when it talks about God making and sending a helper for Adam. God looked at Adam and saw that Adam was going to need help. Another translation of that word Ezer is warrior, someone that would fight alongside you. And I think about just the power that is a woman, and also the providence of God, right? That he would know before Adam ended up in turmoil, before Satan came and tempted Adam and Eve, God already had created a woman that would have a womb, who would carry the bloodline that would bring forth Jesus Christ, who would save the world and fix everything that had happened from the very beginning. I mean, what in the world? How is this our God that we serve, that he would love us so much? But think about every detail, that before we could even need help, God would send it. And so I think about, oh my goodness, I think about our husbands. I think about the fact that we have so many of our men that are not engaged in church and in Christianity and just in the works of God, because they don't see where they fit into the whole grand scheme of purpose, because Satan has done an excellent job at separating our husbands from the voice of God. And that before any of that could happen, that God would create suitable helpmeets to be warriors for the men of God, that we would stand in the gap and stand alongside them and pray for them, that we would take all of our husbands' pains and hurts and traumas and give them to God, that we would take the visions and the gifts that God has placed inside of our spouse, and that we would take them into ourselves, cultivate them, nourish them back to health, and then birth them out, so that our husbands can truly be the men of God walking in the purpose that God has given them. Oh my goodness. Isn't that incredible? And so that's just like a stirring up for us wives, that we would stop just being the woman in the background, or even to stop being the person that drags this man along, because if he's not going to do it, it needs to be done. And we see it as such a burden, like, oh my goodness, why can't I just get my husband to do this and get my husband to do that? If we would really just stop and take inventory of what's truly important in a marriage and stop being so distracted and look at our husbands and see just how badly the enemy wants them. Oh my goodness, that we would stop withholding our womb and our natural gifts and nature just because we're trying to teach them a lesson, or just because they don't deserve, or because I can't be fully myself and be sensitive and loving and freely giving because this guy doesn't deserve it. Like, I can't keep being freely giving and loving to you because you don't appreciate it. A lot of these guys don't even know how to accept that type of love because they've never seen it. Oh my goodness. We get frustrated because you want me to keep giving you something and feel sorry for you because you've never experienced this type of love and forgiveness and grace. But you know what? Neither have I. And I'm having to really, really learn that God has created me to be a certain way. And I cannot withhold who I am from people just because they're not giving that back to me. Sometimes God will give the wife things to birth that are not necessarily for us, that they're for our husband. That sometimes God will gift our husband things through us. And when God gives you something to carry and birth, far be it for you to say, I'm not going to push this out. I can't even count the number of times that God has corrected me and told me what I needed to give my husband. In the worst moments, God will tell me, Ryan, this is what Jonathan needs, and you need to give that to him. And how hard it is to swallow everything and say, God, I don't want to be the one to carry this. Can't you have somebody else carry this baby for my spouse? But God is so gracious that he says this is a gift that isn't just going to be for you. It's going to be for everybody. We are all just like Eve. Oh my goodness. Every woman, just the significance, just the power that we have. Just like God created Eve out of man and said, I'm going to bring forth salvation. Golly. I'm going to end this video with this question that I did not even intend. I didn't even intend for this video to go this way. But what is it that God is trying to birth through you? And are you willing to do it? Are you willing to carry? Okay, guys, I'm sitting in this car like I don't have to go and prep stuff for tonight. So let me get to my final destination. I love you all. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Make sure that if this video has been a blessing to you, that you give it a like. And if you haven't joined us already, go ahead and subscribe on this journey with us. Ring the bell for notifications. And yeah, that's it. Bye, guys.